London Calling is the third studio album by the legendary punk rock outfit, The Clash. It was released in 1979, just weeks before the 70s transitioned into the 80s. A handful of some of the most influential albums of the 70s came out this year. You had Joy Division's Unknown Pleasures, Michael Jackson's best album in my opinion, Off the Wall, one of Pink Floyd's best albums, The Wall, and then London Calling. London Calling is widely regarded as one of the greatest albums to have ever come out of the punk rock genre by many people, including myself. However, to categorize London Calling as strictly a punk rock album would be inaccurate, as The Clash really went all out and explored a vast range of genres they hadn't tapped into before, such as new wave, ska, and even reggae rock. The sudden change and risk-taking that The Clash took on London Calling is mind-blowing when you consider that their previous record, Give 'Em Enough Rope, released just a year earlier, was a straightforward punk album with little in terms of genre versatility. The improvements, versatility, and creativity on London Calling are so colossal and completely eclipse their two previous records. This type of transition would typically take years for most other bands to achieve, but The Clash did it in just a year, and that's just crazy. It's like if the Beatles had released the White Album a year after Please Please Me. Well, you don't have to imagine that, because that's exactly what The Clash did. The record kicks off with the title track, one of the most iconic album openers in punk history. If an album's with the best first few seconds YouTube video doesn't include this, then it is automatically invalid. Drummer Topper Heathen sets the stage with a drum beat that instantly gets your head bopping, followed by bassist Paul Simonon, oh my gosh, I'm butchering the pronunciation, laying down a simple yet super infectious bass line. Words can't even capture how good it is, and this isn't even the best bass line on the album. Then when Joe Strummer's vocals kick in alongside Mick Jones's guitar, the whole track feels like a rebellious apocalyptic anthem for a new era built on the ashes of the old one. By rebellious and apocalyptic, I mean in the sense of an exciting new beginning, the end of an era crashing down to make way for something bold and fresh. Lines like phony Beatlemania has bitten the dust further emphasize this exciting end of the world vibe. The production as a whole is so heart-pounding. In this song, The Clash perfectly captures the moment when punk rock was slipping out of the mainstream and evolving into something new, all happening in real time. On the other hand, more serious lines like Engine Stop Running, Rita's Growing Thin show Joe commenting on environmental, societal, and political issues, tackling real-world problems while adding to the song's rebellious edge. He even urges listeners to pay attention to his words. I don't want to shout, but when I was talking, I saw you nodding out. The song overall couldn't be a more epic tone setter for the album. Jimmy Jazz has the band completely step away from punk and dive into a more laid-back new wave ska direction. Mick Jones even delivers a jazzy electronic guitar solo here. The song transitions quite nicely into Hateful, one of the catchiest cuts in the first half of the album. It features one of the many addictive choruses on London Calling. In this song, Joe sings about how his drug dealer gives him any drug he wants. Anything I want, he gives it to me. The catchy melodies continues onto the next song, Rudie Can't Fail. How you get a root and a reckless. The song even has some reggae influences in the instrumentation, and they incorporate it so well, making it fit seamlessly rather than feeling out of place. The consistency of catchiness doesn't end there though. One of my favorite songs on the entire album, Spanish Bombs, comes next. This might just be a personal taste thing, and I hope I'm not the only one who thinks this, but the guitar riff kind of gives off a melancholic vibe. It feels both happy and sad at the same time. The best way I can describe it is that it gives me a similar emotional feeling to the riff on Hard to Explain by The Strokes. This melancholic tone is a complete juxtaposition to the more upbeat, energetic performance that Joe and Mick deliver. The riff sounds like it was made for a slower, sadder rock song, but it's used brilliantly in this upbeat banger that makes me want to dance. and it's so catchy. Spanish bombs. The addictive vibes of Spanish bombs distract you from how serious the lyrics actually are, with the song addressing the Spanish Civil War and paying respect to the freedom fighters. The right profile is also super catchy. The emotions that the guitar riffs in the right profile and Spanish bombs give me are the complete opposite of each other. The guitar that starts the song feels more joyous, happy, sunshiny. It's like a nice sunny morning in London. Oh, I take that back. That doesn't sound that nice. London's so fucking depressing. These riffs makes me feel like being a child playing football with my friends at the park on a sunny Saturday. The whole instrumental sounds like a Blur type beat before Blur was even a thing. Well, mostly the guitar and drum beats, not so much the horns. It just sounds so British. This beat, this song, and then when this bop ends, this 3-track run starts. Lost in the Supermarket, Clampdown, The Guns of Brixton, All Fire, yeah, oh yeah. Like the previous tracks, Lost in the Supermarket is upbeat, fun, and intoxicating. Mick is the one singing this time. His voice sounds similar to Joe's but with a softer tone, which complements the instrumental better than I think Joe would, as the guitars here are more pretty and bittersweet than energetic and fast-paced. Mick's gentler delivery complements this mood perfectly. The songwriting also fits the vibe, as Mick seems to sing about being lost and turning to alcohol as a way to feel free. The soft, and I'm gonna use this word again, melancholic guitars align with the feelings of loneliness and the need to drink in order to feel free. The lyrics in the first verse feature some of the most emotional lines on the album. I heard the people who live on the ceiling scream and fight more scarily. Hearing that noise was my first ever feeling. That's how it's been all around me. It's maybe one of the catchiest tracks on the record, but it's also one of the saddest ones. The Clash makes you want to dance and cry at the same time. Clampdown keeps the streak of great songwriting and sticky melodies going, with Joe back on vocals. His lyrics seem to express disgust at the minimum wage, depressing work life controlled by the evil bosses of society. This fantastic 3-track run closes with one of my favorite songs the band has ever made, The Guns of Brixton. Remember earlier when I said the bass line on the title track isn't even the best on the album? I said that because this song has the best bass line on the album. My only complaint about the track is that I wish the bass was louder. If the track list hadn't already convinced you that the Clash are truly a jack of all trades, then Wrong and Boyo will prove you wrong. It's a wildly entertaining ska track with bouncy horns that border on sounding like something out of a circus, and I mean that in the best way possible. The Card Sheet and I'm Not Down are both very underrated. Not much else to say about the two tracks. I just think they both deserve more praise than they get, especially for being on an album as famous as London Calling. In particular, I'm Not Down stands out. Mick sings these lines so convincingly that I can't help but feel motivated every time I hear it. Easily one of my favourite songs in the band's catalogue. The Clash manages to do the impossible and ends the album as strongly as it starts with Train in Vain, which is also one of my favourite songs in the band's catalogue. I don't think the band has ever made a song that makes me want to groove and dance more than this one. The combination of the jumpy, bright and cheerful piano riff and the passionate chorus is so overly enjoyable and addictive, I can't help but smile every time I listen to it. By the way, this is a breakup song, probably the happiest sounding breakup song I've ever heard. And that brings us to the end of this boundary pushing punk rock album, if you can even call it that. It's basically an everything album. For the Clash to branch out into such a wide range of genres right after releasing two straightforward one-dimensional punk rock albums that stuck to one sound was a massive creative risk. Pulling something like this off would be impressive at any point in a band's career, but to successfully explore all these different genres and do justice to each one on a track-by-track basis is something most bands could only dream of. And yet, the Clash managed to do the impossible, and they did it in just over a year. I do still have a few complaints about the record, even if I still think it has no skips. The tune in Kola feels a bit too familiar compared to the other tracks on the album. Additionally, the tight runtime holds it back from developing further or offering something greater. As for Lovers Rock, I still think it's a good song, but it's a little too long for my liking. I think it would would have been a better listen if trimmed down to 2 or 3 minutes. Not much else to say about London Calling. It's a very versatile and outstanding album from the band and is easily their best. It's really mind-blowing how the band went from creating London Calling to Cut the Crap. This album is the sole reason why the Clash are still considered one of punk rock's greatest groups, even if it overshadows every Clash album that came before and after it. Very few punk rock records are as excellent as this one. 9.6 out of 10.